Very happy to be here. I hope some of the things that I'm sharing, hello. Yeah, it's going to be relevant, and the topic today is on human capital and the youth. So just going to share a little bit about some of the projects that we have been on. So before I start, feel free to scan the Mentimeter if you have any questions to ask, or just feel free to voice out later on. I think it's quite a small, quite cozy room. So bridging the generational gap, human capital and youth. So I think one of my day-to-days, one of the things that really excite me the most and also make me the most frustrated, obviously, is end of the day is people to people, right? I think a lot of the work that we do is sometimes is related to the technology and developing the system, but a lot of time is really on the people to people. How do you convince the counterpart, or how do you make them believe that you are in it for the long run, and so on and so forth. So I think there's a lot of focus. That's also one reason I chose the part on human capital. I spend most of my time, of course, fighting the fires of everyday kind of like business, as well as spending a lot of time with the people of our company. So myself, I'm Zach. I actually started GWS Living Art first in 2017, but there was a lot of R&D work that started in around 2015, which I'll share a little bit more. And of course, City Sprouts and Vidacity. So what we do in essence is really to bring people together. I think Li Qing maybe is inside the photo, not very sure. Yeah, Li Qing is one of our previous colleagues. Yeah, so we bring people together through green spaces to create a more sustainable future. So whether is it through Vidacity or City Sprouts, it's really about creating these forged memories together as one people. My first company was something a bit more B2B, so we developed a lot of urban greenery systems for projects, for cities, and you can see them in like your Jewel Changi or some. This wasn't done by us, but similar to some of these. So I'm really passionate about products and developing patents, things like that. But after a while, I realized that the key in really affecting change sometimes is really the people. I think for me personally, I feel climate change or all the problems that we are facing in the world, we have all the solutions and we have all the technology to effect change. It's just how do we facilitate the discussions between countries, the discussion between states, and discussions between businesses and people. So to me, I think that's really why we kickstarted Vidacity after COP27. And of course, City Sprouts is really a ground-up kind of community projects that kind of evolve a bit out of proportion. But we kind of grew as the wave took us. We saw opportunities, we saw projects that was potential, and we started from Henderson. And after which, within a span of 3 years, we are actually now in 4 other locations. So we are also at Punggol, West Coast, Pasir Ris, which is under Vidacity, and also at Kampong Eunos, which this year we also took over the Vita Singapore. And we are also starting something in Pasir Ris Park. We just got awarded the community Social Enterprise Community Urban Farm, SECA for short. Singapore loves all these kind of like abbreviations. So through the 3 years or 4 years when we dealt a lot with the communities direct, we do a lot of B2C. We focus a lot in intergenerational programs because Henderson was a very interesting project. Basically, we tendered for the school hall and the school canteen, and then the open school field. So other than these functions, you also have classrooms, which are broken up and leased to a nursing home. And then on the right, where you have the basketball courts, the general office or the principal's office, that became the mega childcare. So it serves, I think, 300 or so young kids or preschools. So the project was really to explore in 2018 and 19. The tender was launched in 2018. And then we tendered for it, we got it in 2019. It's really to explore how an urban farm space in the middle of city can bring the old and the young. So we really focused on that. Of course, COVID happened in 2020 March, which is actually we plan to launch in March 2020. So it was really interesting. We did all kinds of permutations and combinations that you can imagine. We did 2 people tour, farm tour, we did 6 people tour, we did online tour, we did any kind of things that you can imagine to try to keep the project alive and as well as bring people together lah. So what we did is we also realized that through the years, City Sprouts became more also like a platform where ground-up initiatives and other projects can leverage and lean on us for spaces, for programs, for larger scale programs like our farmers market. When we first started farmers market back in 2021, or I think just during that time, I don't know, some of you remember, there were a lot of regulations for if you want to hold an event. So I think the planning document that me and Tatiana did for farmers, it was called Farm Day Out lah. It was ridiculous lah. So every hour, I think at one point in time, the room had to have like this amount of people and per person this amount of square meters. So that was then lah. And we also found out like how some programs is quite sustainable long term. Some farmers market can also be a platform for people to run their trials and bring their products to market. So for fun fact, just to share with the crowd, a lot of people think farmers market, wow, City Sprouts earn a lot of money. Actually, every farmers market or farm day out, right, is a loss-making program. If you put in our labor costs, our marketing costs, it is a loss-making kind of initiative. But I always felt like every space needs that one anchor kind of community program to bring people together. And I believe there was a lot of people that we saw that came for the farm day out or farmers market. Their farm actually expanded, which I'll share some of the stories. And through all these kind of initiative, we actually saw their growth lah. So for the one at Vidacity, currently we are going to hold our shameless plug. Yeah, we are going to hold our Future Forest Festival. So it's called the F-Cube. FFF lah, so a lot of F words. So that similarly to Farm Day Out is also a negative margin event lah. So the whole purpose is really to bring to light some of the things that's happening in coastal mangrove communities around Johor or Indonesia, where we'll bring them into Singapore. And then there's a lot of storytelling. It's a bit more lighthearted. It's not so formal, and people get to see some of the different tech that startups are working on. So just want to share a little bit about some of the stories that we had in City Sprouts as well as Vidacity. So through the years of City Sprouts, actually one of the first, I remember the conversation with Jasmine from Club, right, is that she was thinking whether to go into Club full-time or still do it. I think for people that really go out there and start your own thing, right, it's quite a scary jump lah, because suddenly you will not have a basic wage. Month to month, you will depend on yourself to survive. And sometimes if your team gets bigger, when every month you used to get salary, now you need to give salary. So it's a completely different ballgame. So I remember having that conversations with Jasmine, and I told both of them, like, if you need any kind of support, City Sprouts will be happy to support an initiative like yours lah. So I remember the first bin actually was deployed in City Sprouts, and both of them really just plunged into running Club full-time. And we are very happy that it's an amazing success story lah. So they grew super fast. So I think now they have like 300 or 400 bins around Singapore. They are recycling a lot of the different textiles. And of course, I think the next part that they are looking into is also to try to not only recycle, but to get people to reduce the consumption kind of thing. So a lot of my own wardrobe, my Chinese New Year clothes are actually from Club. My wife will go there and pick some clothes from Jasmine, and then that becomes my Chinese New Year wear. Yeah, then another individual I want to share is Jody. So Jody is amazing. I met her in our Singapore leadership program, 2023, something like that. And then that's how I was sharing about Vidacity, because that was very, very early stage of Vidacity. It was a kind of project that we were thinking whether to go full swing or not to go full swing. And I think that was when I heard about her project. She wanted to recycle materials using clay-based substrate to make into everyday materials, everyday usable items lah. So currently, she's already 1 year in the space, and we saw that now she's doing 3D printing with clay, recycled clay, and stuff like that. So it's quite amazing lah. Of course, I think the 0 to 1 is not easy, but it's not impossible. So the whole idea of Vidacity is also to help youths or individuals or people with dreams and ideas to try to lower the barrier for 0 to 1. And then once they go 0 to 1, then they can go to other ecosystems. It's harder to fail after 0 to 1 because they can either just kind of float around 1, or they can go a bit further, which is a bit more risk-taking, so on and so forth. Last but not least, I have a very close friend called Ray. So I remember the first time when we took the space in Henderson. It was actually very scary because I have never built a community urban farm. I didn't know how. I roughly knew what people in the community was looking for community farms, but it was a kind of, you roughly know, but you don't know really how to start it, right? And then here I was like looking at this old school, no idea where to start. We don't have any power because they gave all my power to the nursing home. So I had to pull power from the market opposite, which cost like 5 digits, I think few 100,000. And then I was sitting there in a field chair with Repo. Repo just came back from Macau. He exited his family business and he wanted to start something related to green. And then we were just chatting over beer, and we were just discussing like what we feel like the future of Singapore's community urban farms or agri-tech industry will be like. And at that point in time, we had Level 2 had a huge hall, and the hall initially, the idea was to have a few different indoor farms inside. But of course, because of power, we only can allocate one indoor farm, which eventually was Singgrow, strawberry indoor the first Singapore indoor strawberry, but now they are in NUS side. So, I mean, just winding back time to that instance, right? And then now looking at how he got a land tender from SFA, and then he's building a 2-hectare farm next year, investing close to 20 million for the farm to build an indoor farm for Singapore's 30 by 30 target, right? I think it is really a long shot. I think it's very easy as bystanders to say like, oh, this cannot work, that cannot work. But when you are actually in the ditches, right, with these people, it makes life a lot more fun. Maybe looking back is fun, but back then maybe it was a bit more scary. Yeah, but it makes it a lot more, you understand what some of these people actually really go through. So currently he's testing his automated system, ASRS, at Vidacity, which is a small scale trial for his future farm in Sungai Tengah. So he's, our friend group, we call him Spinach King, because the signature product of artisan green is actually baby spinach. If you go to supermarkets, right, so indoor farming is super difficult. I think we all know that. But if you go to supermarkets, you start to realize that actually baby spinach, there's not much suppliers of baby spinach. So after when we went for a learning trip to Cameron Highlands, another important thing is we also try to bring people out to other countries where the farming or the industry itself is super established. And then you start to see some of the dynamics and economics that people are operating from. So we went to visit this 150-hectare all greenhouse in Cameron Highlands. And I remember looking at like rows and rows of lettuce that they are contract growing for McDonald's in Malaysia. And then I remember seeing like this couple of rows of baby spinach, but the baby spinach was grown not very well. So they told me that's for R&D. And I was like, hey, Ray, actually your baby spinach, you can grow very well and it's consistent supply. So his nickname is SK, Spinach King, that we call him in Singapore. So he actually mastered just one product, baby spinach in indoor farm. And in his future indoor farm, he will also master a few more kind of like specific products lah. Yeah, and for myself, when I saw this photo that my colleague put the slides together, I was quite amazed how they managed to get such old photos from. So actually this was me I used to have a lot more hair. I can tie man bun on last time, but now I never try to tie man. Whatever hair left is very, very precious. Yeah, so this was me when I was just out of army. It was actually a container. It was a container, literally in a 20-feet container in the nursery. So that's where I started GWS Living Art. And these are my basketball teammates. So I actually just employed, while they were waiting to go to university, we started our GWS Living Art in a container. And it was quite difficult because when you look this young and you go to architects, you go to developers, you tell them you want to put this green wall system 20 over stories above ground and you're going to mount it on their walls and things like that. They usually look at you with a biased eyes, which is understandable, and they obviously will not. And back then there was not so much kind of like support in terms of like accelerators or things like that in Singapore. So we really went part by part, and then we completed our first green wall for some condominium. And then the first breakthrough project was when we got a chance to do Terminal 4 Changi. All the green walls were done by us. And I visited Professor Kozai in 2018. Actually, he's the professor that wrote the first paper on indoor farming. So in Japan, where they do indoor farming, they typically farm for the color substance of the food grade color substance for food materials and also for ice plant. And then we also saw some mock-ups, and at that point in time, I already knew like, wow, indoor farming is a very, very difficult business because you're kind of going against the grain where people farm for free under the sun. They have free water, the sun, water, and earth, right? But you are paying for everything, the sun, the earth, and water. Yeah, I think that's something about me lah. So I think most individuals, youths, or non-youths, or people within the community, I think every single individual all have a dream. They have something that they want to achieve for, other than monetary lah. I think there's something that people want to reach out for. So it's about how can we kind of realign or align some of these ideals and purpose that we have and make some of these come true. And I think what I believe it takes for the individual is also to have some of these traits, being extremely stubborn, but at the same time, being able to listen for criticism and feedback, being extremely resilient, but at the same time, showing your weakness at the right points in time. And of course, you have to aim for the stars and then you land in the moon. I don't know, is that the correct saying? Yeah, you need to aim higher lah. So we call that in our team, big, hairy, audacious goals. Yeah, if it's not big or hairy or audacious, then maybe it's not an ideal goal lah. Yeah, so thank you very much.